Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. Glad you made it. Look, who should be filing for a VA claim? Well, in my opinion, everybody. Every veteran should be filing for something. There is something that you could file for, and that's what this video is about, to kind of unravel it a little bit. Now, obviously, if you have a dishonorable discharge, that's a different story, and you need to be working to see if there is a way that you can get a discharge upgrade. There's two versions of that. One is you can go back to the DOD and work with your branch to see if you can get that rectified, or you can go through the VA, and they also have a process where they can essentially give you a discharge upgrade for VA purposes only. Now, one example for those that are wondering, that why I would even bring this up is there are situations in which this can happen, and I'll give you the fast example here. The fast example is you were a stellar whatever, sailor, airman, Marine, soldier, what have you, and you were stellar, you hit all the marks, you're doing great, and then you go overseas, you see something that you didn't necessarily want to see in life, and then you come back and maybe you start to self-medicate a little bit, so you're drinking a little bit, and then you're drinking a little bit turned into a little bit more, and you became a little bit belligerent, you hit somebody you shouldn't have hit because you weren't being treated for the obvious PTSD that you now have from your time overseas, and then they kick you out. Right? So that would be a situation in which maybe the military, the DOD, should have done a better job recognizing that you had PTSD and helped to treat you and get you squared away instead of just letting you kind of run off the rails. So a situation like that would probably warrant a discharge upgrade, at least for VA purposes, that type of stuff, and some benefits would open. So with that, I'm going to jump into kind of some of the myths and misperceptions and just kind of my overall speech to anybody who is on the fence or wondering, should I even, I'm fine, I can walk, I know people that can't, save it for those that need it, that attitude type of situation. So I'm going to share my kind of thoughts on that and just kind of give my 2 cents. So please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend. Share with a friend. Share with a friend that goes, I don't need it, I'm fine. I already got my retirement check, I'm good. Whatever, right? Share it with the people that are dragging their feet on it. If you're not a member, consider joining. It does help out the channel. I appreciate you. All right, so let's jump into this. All right. When you joined the military, most likely you came in with no sort of waiver, right? Now, there are situations where people do sign a waiver for whatever, right? There was some sort of a exception that was given to them to join because they had a bad whatever, right? I hurt my elbow in football and, it's a little tweaky, but I could still do push-ups, look, right? So that type of a situation. So for most of us, we came in on a clean slate, we'll call it. Not an issue wrong with you at all. So that's great. And I'm going to start it with that so we know what we're working with, right? You went to a car dealership, or not a dealership, you went to a car rental place and you rented a brand new car, right? You're the first person to get it, right? That's kind of like you coming into the military, right? So one of the biggest misperceptions when we think about VA disability compensation first comes from the word disability. We all in our minds have our own version of what disabled means. And we don't picture somebody walking down the street or riding a bike or anything like that. We picture the person on the handicap placard, right? In the wheelchair. We picture somebody missing a limb. We picture those types of situations when we think of disability or disabled persons, right? That's the image that we have. So automatically we self-segregate out of VA disability benefits simply because of the wording. So that's number one. Number one is we self-segregate out of it. Number two is a lot of us believe that we must have something horrendous that has happened to us during our time in service that was caused by the military, right? So let's say you're rolling down I don't know, you're in a mechanic shop and Humvee rolls off of the rack somehow and lands on you. I know, probably never going to happen, but whatever. So lands on you and destroys your leg, right? So now your leg's all mangled and you're limping around for the rest of your life. That would be something that was caused by your military service. And so that's what a lot of us think needs to happen. Now, not that specific story, but a lot of us think that we need to pinpoint an in-service event, which I hate that wording because, again, it's a very self-segregating out of statement, especially if you don't add anything to it. If you just say you need to have an in-service event, then that's a lie because you don't. And then we just self-segregate out because we go, I don't have any in-service event for anything, so I'm on my way. So that's another thing why people turn around and walk away and never file for a VA claim. The third thing is because of these beliefs, right? Major disability, right? And a specific catastrophic-y type of a instance in service that caused a major issue physically. Because we think that those are the things that need to happen to get disability compensation from the VA, then what happens is we start to become judgmental on those that we see that do have VA disability compensation, right? You meet somebody, you see somebody, whatever, and they're 50%, at 70%, at 90%, 100%, whatever, and we begin to judge them going, well, they can walk around, they're fine, they're riding a motorcycle, they're okay, they're cheating the system, and it's because of people like that XYZ. And so then we're like, well, we don't even want to be associated and looked at that way, so why would I ever file for something like that? This is supposed to be for somebody else, not me. So these are all the things that are kind of wishing around or swishing around or whatever in our head, which makes it very difficult to move forward on anything. And none of this is researched or looked at. It's just, it makes sense, and so we believe it. Then what happens is, to make matters worse, is the 100% designation. It's something we all hear a lot about. People are just striving to get this 100%. Everybody wants the 100%. And to the person who's never filed for VA, and the person who doesn't understand it or has done any research on it, will come up with their own conclusion, right? Their own conclusion is, well, 100% is 100%. That's the top. It means it can't be any worse than 100%. Which means that every person that I see that's 100%, that can walk around, that can do a push-up, that can ride a motorcycle, that can go golf, well, they're really screwing over the system. Because that 100% top level is something that should be reserved for the person that was rolling down in the convoy and got hit by the IED and is missing a limb. That's the 100% person. So then they self-segregate out of it even more and back even more away from the VA instead of looking more in. Which is a very sad situation because all of those things are just misinformation. It is the wrong idea. It's the wrong approach. The reality is that the military and the VA in a weird way, both have done a horrible job educating any of us on what the VA does for us and what disability benefits, compensation, what have you, what those are and what they really are for, what qualifies them. So I put the blame on those two entities. VA and DOD together have done a horrific job in informing any of us on what is out there and who qualifies. So again, many of us too, knowing all of those things in a wrong mindset, will go, you know what, I don't need it. Save it for somebody else who does. The reality is that if you don't use it, you're actually screwing over everybody who comes behind us. Because if, like anything, If we don't show the need, look, for any of you that have been at any level of, let's say company command and above, understand that, look, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. You're not gonna blow out those rounds. Well, guess what? You're not gonna get that many next time. So you need to utilize it while you have it in order to ensure that it keeps coming. So in order to make sure that our brothers and sisters that come behind us are taken care of, we need to make sure that we utilize the benefits that we've earned. Now, when we signed up in the military, for whatever branch you signed up with, the VA compensation and VA benefits in general are part of your benefits plan, okay? If you went and got employed at any civilian private organization and they said, hey, you signing up with us, if you work for us for 4 years, 6 years, however many years, you're going to get not only these stock options, but we're also going to give you a 6-year longevity bonus of whatever, $500,000, just to throw something out there. I guarantee you that none of you would work your 6 years for company X and take your stock options and go, you know what? I got my stock options. I'm pretty happy with that. You can keep that $500,000 longevity bonus. I don't need it. You can keep it. Nobody would do that. It's ridiculous. It would be, you would, I don't even know the words that you would say to somebody who would walk away from that. Nobody would, because it's like, well, that's part of my benefits. That's part of what I get for what I did. I gave you 6 years of my life, and now that's what I get back because I made it, right? So VA benefits, disability compensation specifically, because that's what I'm talking about, is the same way. You came in clean slate. The way the VA looks at this is any condition that arises within you, injury or illness, during your active duty time, we're going to compensate you for it. We're going to make sure that you're taking, because you're writing a check payable up to death for us, Branch X, for this duration of time. This is what we're going to give you. Because guess what? We could send you over here and you could die tomorrow. And you're going to roll the dice. But because of that, because of the gigantic risk that you're willing to take, and oh, by the way, we're going to pay you small. We're going to pay you much less than your civilian counterpart. Everybody agrees with that. I don't care if you were a general or a private. Every single one of you were underpaid compared to your civilian counterpart. A civilian doing the same job with the same risks and all of that would be paid quadruple or more what you're getting paid. So now, why is that? Well, because they're taking some of your money and investing it for you in VA benefits. So if you make it through your period of time, and exit the military, you have this bucket over here of benefits. And again, just like that car that I was talking about at the rental place, if you take that car for 3 weeks and bring it back and it's got, it still runs, but the rims are all chipped up and you got a couple dents on it and the windshield's got a crack and one of the headlights is busted out. Do you think that they're just going to go, hey, thanks for bringing back the car? No, they're not going to say that. They're going to be like, hey, look, you have to compensate us for what you did. And you're either going to compensate them through the insurance that you bought or you're going to pay out of pocket. But one way or another, they're getting their money. You are that brand new car. You were 18 and you were 100%. No issues, right? You're coming in and now everybody can agree with this. The military is kind of like dog years, right? A few years in the military puts more on your body than the normal person. So it's all of those factors that come into play that warrant this VA disability compensation. And I hate the fact that they use disability in that. Now, what can you file for? Well, I'll explain to you what a successful claim for service connection looks like. It's very simple, boils down to 3 things. One, you should have, I'm just going to use active duty. Either there are opportunities for reservists, but reservists have a much tighter, harder to deal with, unfortunately, sadder situation. We'll use active duty component time. So you have active duty. That gives you a time period, a window of opportunity is what I call it. Number 2, you have a diagnosed condition, a condition that is chronic in nature or has some sort of residual effects. It's an ongoing problem that you have. That's number 2. Number 3 is a nexus, the link between that diagnosed condition and your time in service. Okay? What the VA is looking for here, this is really important, is not, the VA is not looking for, show me that the military caused this only. That's not what they're looking for. What they're saying, the VA, is show me that this condition that's diagnosed manifested or is a result of your time in service. Prove that to me. Now, the easiest way to prove it, the easiest way is if you were to have gotten diagnosed during your time in service, because the date of your diagnosis puts that condition being diagnosed in your time in service, in that window of opportunity. Now, let's say you don't have a diagnosis because you never went to sick call or anything like that. So you don't have your diagnosis. That's fine. Maybe you mentioned it on a physical health assessment or something like that, made a notation of it somewhere. You have to flip through your records. If you don't have your records, you can order them with the SF-180 form, that's standard form, SF-180, and send it off. You can get that on the National Archives website. It's 3 pages. 1 page is the form, and the other 2 are kind of instructions on where to send it. So, if you have it annotated anywhere in your service treatment records, awesome. Even if it's not a diagnosis, just the fact that you mentioned it helps you have that nexus, that link, showing that it first started during your time in service. Let's say you have nothing in your records. You're going to have to work a little bit harder to what I call build a bridge back to your time in service. So you're going to have to lean on people that you knew during your time in service, have them write letters explaining that, attesting to their knowledge of you experiencing X or having whatever condition, right? Migraines, heartburn, whatever. Whatever your condition is, they can attest to it for you. That would be in letters. You would explain yourself in a letter. Let's say that it's migraines or gastroesophageal reflux disease, my 2 favorite things to talk about. You could write your own letter and explain. I would just get a handful of Motrin from the medic or from the corpsman, and I would take that, and I would go to the grocery store and I'd buy it, and I would just have it with me. And I never had it documented. I just took my Motrin and moved on, drank water. So now you've explained why you didn't document it. You had other people attest to knowing that you've had it. And then you would go to your doctor and have them write you what's called a Nexus Letter. So the doctor that diagnoses you with migraines could then, or did I use gastroesophageal reflux disease, bad heartburn? I don't remember. Whatever. Whichever one it is. Your doctor would write a Nexus Letter explaining that that your condition is at least likely as not to have occurred during your time in service. This is a Nexus Letter, and the line that you're looking for is at least likely as not. If evidence is equal on both sides in equipoise, then what happens is the VA is supposed to rule in your favor. That's an important piece. So ideally, you'd get your doctor to say, hey, doc, can you put down that it's more than likely that my migraines have manifested during time in service or started during my time in service or whatever. And if they do, great. If they're a little bit hesitant, then go, it's fine. Actually, you could say that it's a 50-50. You could say that it's at least likely as not, and that would be fine too. And then that's a coin flip. Who wouldn't write that for you? You need to push on your doctor a little bit and get them to do that. So with that, I hope that this helped uncover a little bit. I mean, I know I ramble, but I just wanted to kind of get it out there so it can live out there so people can find it and listen to it and hopefully make that decision to file their claim. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.